900 million devices. That's how many gadgets worldwide are currently operating on a software platform that didn't even exist half a decade ago. And before you guess, no, this isn't Android. It's not iOS either. So what exactly is happening here? And why should you care about an operating system most people outside China have never heard of? The answer reveals one of the most extraordinary corporate comebacks in technology history, and exposes a fundamental shift in global digital power that's happening right now, largely invisible to Western audiences. This is the story of how sanctions designed to destroy a company instead triggered an innovation explosion that's now threatening the entire foundation of Silicon Valley's dominance. May 2019, the Trump administration delivered what industry insiders called a nuclear strike against Huawei, the Chinese telecommunications giant. Overnight, the company was severed from Google's Android operating system and every service that comes with it. No Gmail access, no YouTube, no Google Maps, no Play Store for downloading applications. The impact was immediate and seemingly catastrophic. Technology analysts worldwide began writing what amounted to corporate obituaries. One prominent Silicon Valley venture capitalist publicly declared, "They'll be dead within 2 years, maximum." Another influential tech commentator stated flatly, "No company can possibly survive being cut off from Google's ecosystem. It's simply impossible." They were all spectacularly, catastrophically wrong. What happened next didn't just defy predictions, it shattered every assumption about what a sanctioned technology company could achieve when fighting for survival. Instead of collapsing into irrelevance, Huawei accomplished something that seemed genuinely impossible to most observers. They constructed their own complete operating system from absolute scratch. Not some cheap knockoff of Android with a different skin. Not a hastily assembled alternative cobbled together from open-source components. They built an entirely new software platform engineered from the ground up to function seamlessly across smartphones, tablets, smartwatches, televisions, and even automobiles. They named it Harmony OS. And by early 2025, it has transformed into the fastest-growing operating system in the entire history of consumer technology. The financial results are absolutely staggering, numbers so dramatic they forced even skeptical Western analysts to reconsider everything they thought they understood about technology competition. In 2024 alone, Huawei's total revenue surged past 860 billion yuan. That translates to over $118 billion in U.S. currency, representing a 22% increase from the previous year. This isn't merely recovery from crisis. This represents the company's fastest growth rate in nearly a full decade. In China's intensely competitive smartphone market, Huawei rocketed from 4th position all the way to 2nd place. Their shipments exploded by 37% during the same period that Apple's sales in China declined by 17%. Let that sink in for a moment. While Apple, one of the world's most valuable companies with arguably the strongest brand loyalty in consumer electronics, watched their China sales contract, Huawei was experiencing explosive growth. But here's where the story becomes genuinely fascinating from a technology perspective. The latest iteration, Harmony OS 6, isn't just competing with Android anymore. It's pioneering advanced features that Google is now scrambling desperately to match. The system now incorporates sophisticated AI agents capable of automating extraordinarily complex tasks without users requiring any programming knowledge whatsoever. Imagine instructing your phone to organize your entire vacation, and the device handles everything autonomously. Booking flights, reserving hotels, making restaurant reservations, even learning your personal preferences as it works to optimize future recommendations. Dr. Chen Yi, a senior software architect who worked extensively on Harmony OS development, explained the fundamental philosophy behind the project. We asked ourselves a deceptively simple question. If we could redesign mobile computing completely from scratch, knowing everything we understand today about user needs and technological possibilities, what would we actually build? The answer, he noted, definitely wasn't Android. The Mate 60 Pro smartphone became the physical embodiment of this technological transformation. When it launched in August 2023, Western technology experts were absolutely stunned. Despite facing comprehensive sanctions specifically designed to block access to advanced chip-making technology, Huawei had somehow engineered a phone delivering 5G-like network speeds using their domestically developed Kirin 9000S processor. Sales exploded with such velocity that retail stores couldn't maintain inventory. Devices sold out within hours of restocking. Young Chinese professionals started referring to it as the Patriot phone, a device that proved conclusively China didn't need Western technology transfer to drive genuine innovation. This momentum accelerated dramatically with the Mate 70 series released in late 2024. These aren't merely smartphones competing on specifications. They're comprehensive showcases demonstrating what becomes possible when a company is forced to completely reimagine every aspect of product development. The devices feature 100-watt fast-charging technology capable of powering a completely dead battery to full capacity in mere minutes. Foldable screens that feel almost magical in hand. AI capabilities so advanced they make Apple's Siri seem embarrassingly primitive by comparison. Most remarkably, these cutting-edge devices often cost significantly less than comparable Google Pixel or Samsung flagship models. Then in November 2025, Huawei launched the Mate 70 Air with a starting price of 4,199 yuan, equivalent to approximately $580 in US currency. The device measures an impossibly thin 6.6 millimeters, earning it the distinction of being the thinnest flagship in the entire Mate series history, spanning over a decade. What makes this achievement even more remarkable is that Huawei managed to pack a massive 6,500 mAh silicon-carbon battery into this ultra-slim profile, technology that required years of materials science research to perfect. The frame utilizes aerospace-grade titanium alloy, the same premium material choice Apple employs in their recent iPhone Pro models, but sold at literally half the cost. The display measures a massive 7 inches diagonally, providing users with expansive visual real estate that actually exceeds the iPhone 16 Pro Max's 6.9-inch screen and Samsung's Galaxy S24 Ultra at 6.8 inches. The application ecosystem tells perhaps the most remarkable chapter of this entire story. When Google Play became unavailable to Huawei devices, technology pessimists predicted users would abandon the phones in massive numbers. The conventional wisdom was simple. Without access to the world's largest app marketplace, no smartphone could possibly survive in modern markets. Instead, something completely unexpected occurred. Huawei's app gallery now serves over 580 million monthly active users, a staggering number that represents genuine organic growth rather than artificial inflation. Major software developers are racing to ensure their applications function perfectly on Harmony OS, with over 50 AI-powered applications already fully integrated into the platform's ecosystem. Chinese developers in particular have embraced the platform enthusiastically, seeing opportunity where Western observers saw only obstacles. But perhaps the most strategically significant development is happening in semiconductors and artificial intelligence computing. On a single trading day, $127 billion evaporated from NVIDIA's market capitalization. Not because of corporate scandal or accounting fraud, but because Huawei announced the Ascend 910C, an AI training chip that doesn't just compete with NVIDIA's flagship H100 processor. According to independent analysts, it matches it. Huawei achieved something genuinely remarkable through advanced engineering techniques. They took two of their previous generation 910B processors and integrated them into a single unified package, effectively doubling both computing power and memory capacity through innovative chiplet architecture. Li Wei, a senior semiconductor analyst at China Renaissance Investment Bank, called it a genuine game changer. noting that the Ascend 910C achieves performance levels that directly challenge what was supposed to represent an insurmountable American technological advantage. Paul Triolo, a partner at consulting firm Albright Stonebridge Group and a longtime China technology watcher, expressed what many industry insiders were thinking, but hesitant to articulate publicly. Many analysts, including myself, thought this level of achievement was technically impossible under the current sanctions regime. The fact that they've accomplished it forces a complete reassessment of China's semiconductor capabilities. The chip is manufactured using SMIC's 7nm N+2 process node, not the most advanced in the world, but far more sophisticated than sanctions were supposed to allow. Current production yields reportedly sit around only 20%, far below the 70% minimum typically required for commercial viability and nowhere near the 90% plus yields achieved by leading foundries like TSMC. But here's what matters. Huawei has already begun distributing sample chips to potential customers and actively accepting orders, with an ambitious production target of ramping up to 100,000 units within the calendar year. And there's more happening beneath the surface that Western policymakers are only beginning to comprehend. The Shanghai Institute of Optics and Fine Mechanics, led by prominent researcher Li Ruan, has been quietly working on developing an extreme ultraviolet, or EUV, light source platform. This is the exact same technology that sits at the absolute heart of the world's most advanced chip manufacturing processes. The technology that enables production of the smallest, most powerful semiconductors. Since 2019, the United States successfully pressured the Dutch government to prevent ASML, the only company in the world capable of manufacturing these machines, from selling them to any Chinese customers. Each ASML EUV lithography system costs over $150 million and represents perhaps the most complex manufacturing equipment humanity has ever created. Yet according to industry insiders and recent public statements from Chinese semiconductor officials, Li Ruan's research team has achieved power output levels and operational stability parameters that are described as internationally competitive. If this proves accurate, and that remains a significant if, it would represent perhaps the single most important technological breakthrough in China's entire semiconductor development program. On May 19, 2025, something occurred that Microsoft never anticipated as a realistic possibility. Huawei walked onto a packed launch event stage in Chengdu, China, and unveiled the world's first personal computers running entirely on Harmony OS 5, their domestically developed operating system that requires absolutely no Windows, no Google services, no American technology whatsoever to function. The MateBook Pro starts at 7,999 yuan, which is approximately $1,118 in US currency. The jaw-dropping MateBook Fold Ultimate design, featuring an 18-inch foldable OLED display that honestly seems pulled from science fiction, is priced at 23,999 yuan, or roughly $3,328. Both devices are powered by Huawei's Kirin 9000S processor and represent 5 full years of intensive development involving over 10,000 engineers and resulting in 2,700 registered patents. But here's what makes this launch genuinely significant beyond just the immediate product specifications. This isn't just another hardware release competing for market share. This represents China declaring complete digital independence from Silicon Valley's software ecosystem. And the numbers prove, pretty conclusively, that the strategy is working far better than almost anyone predicted. When US sanctions hammered Huawei back in 2019, cutting them off from both Android and Windows, virtually every major analyst predicted corporate collapse within months. Instead, the company spent the subsequent 5 years methodically building something that now operates on over 1 billion active devices worldwide. Harmony OS has achieved what seemed genuinely impossible just 2 years ago. In the fourth quarter of 2024, it captured 19% of China's smartphone market, officially overtaking Apple's iOS, which held 17%, while Android maintained 64% market share. By the second quarter of 2025, HarmonyOS maintained 17% market share, consistently outperforming iOS for 6 consecutive quarters, a sustained trend rather than a temporary anomaly. Globally, HarmonyOS currently holds approximately 4% of the worldwide mobile operating system market. That might sound modest until you consider this emerged from literally nothing in less than 5 years while facing active opposition from the world's most powerful technology companies. But inside China, the world's largest smartphone market with over 1.4 billion potential users, it has become the second largest mobile operating system. And now Huawei is aggressively targeting the personal computer market, where Windows still controls 80.18% of Chinese computers as of the first quarter of 2025. The MateBook Pro weighs just 970 grams, making it lighter than Apple's MacBook Air while packing more powerful specifications. Yet it incorporates a 14.2-inch OLED display featuring 3.1K resolution, 120 Hz refresh rate, and 1000 nits peak brightness. Specifications that match or even exceed premium Windows laptops costing significantly more. The device measures only 13.5 millimeters thick and ships with configurations offering up to 32 gigabytes of RAM and 2 terabyte SSD storage capacity. The 70-watt-hour battery delivers 10.2 hours of actual usage with 140-watt fast charging support that can replenish the battery in under an hour. But the genuine innovation really showcases in the MateBook Fold Ultimate design. When fully unfolded, it reveals an expansive 18-inch 3.3K resolution OLED screen with 1600 nits peak brightness, bright enough to use comfortably in direct sunlight. Fold it down and you get a compact 13-inch device that's only 7.3 millimeters thick and weighs just 1.16 kilograms. The magnetic keyboard attachment adds merely 290 grams and 5 millimeters to the total thickness. Huawei has effectively solved the decades-old engineering trade-off between screen size and portability through materials science and mechanical design that feels genuinely futuristic. HarmonyOS 5 isn't some rushed alternative hastily thrown together to survive sanctions. Instead, it represents a complete ground-up reconstruction, featuring a microkernel architecture that Huawei claims offers 1,000th the attack surface of Windows. Meaning, dramatically fewer vulnerabilities that hackers could potentially exploit. The system actually boots 32% faster than Windows 11 on equivalent hardware specifications and, get this, consumes 29% less memory during intensive multitasking operations. According to testing conducted by the China Software Testing Center, users report that a 1 gigabyte PowerPoint presentation file opens in just 1 second, compared to 3 to 5 seconds on Windows running on similar hardware. The operating system supports over 1,100 different peripheral devices and features the Xiaoyi AI assistant powered by Huawei's Pangu large language models. Xiaoyi can generate complete presentation templates from simple prompts, translate text within images in real time, summarize 2-hour meeting recordings into comprehensive documents within minutes, and handle system-level automation through natural voice commands like change mouse color or split this document. The cross-device integration capability is where HarmonyOS becomes genuinely revolutionary, offering functionality that neither Windows nor macOS can currently match. Through Huawei's distributed architecture framework, you can drag files directly from your smartphone to your laptop without any cables or cloud synchronization delays. You can redirect your phone's camera to your PC during video conference calls with a single touch gesture. You can use one keyboard and mouse to seamlessly control your PC, tablet, and smartphone simultaneously. The system detects your face direction and follows your gaze to move the cursor fluidly between devices. Over 230 million devices have been connected using this super device framework as of the first quarter of 2025. Files flow instantaneously between devices. Phone calls transfer without interruption. Screens extend wirelessly to create immersive multi-display workspaces that, honestly, make Windows' limited device ecosystem feel trapped in 2010. Now let's address the limitation everyone needs to understand: the application ecosystem. At launch in May 2025, Harmony OS PC supported over 1,000 applications total, including 150 native PC applications specifically optimized for the platform. By September 2025, that number had grown to over 800 applications. By November 2025, the Harmony OS PC ecosystem reached over 10,000 desktop applications. Explosive growth, but still a fraction of what Windows offers. Major Chinese platforms are fully optimized, including WPS Office, completely rebuilt from 40 million lines of source code specifically for Harmony OS compatibility, along with WeChat, QQ, Bilibili, Douyin, DingTalk, QQ Music, Xiaohongshu, and ZWCAD professional design software. WPS Office development teams alone resolved over 500 technical challenges and added features like dual-screen presenter mode and one-click AI-generated slide templates designed specifically for the MateBook Fold. But here's the harsh reality that international users need to understand: Adobe Creative Suite remains unavailable. Microsoft Office, the global standard for business productivity, isn't supported. Zoom video conferencing doesn't run natively. AutoCAD for professional design work doesn't exist on the platform. MATLAB for scientific computing isn't available. Windows supports over 660,000 applications optimized for Chinese users. For people doing standard productivity work, documents, spreadsheets, web browsing, video consumption, Harmony OS PC is completely viable right now. For international users or creative professionals who depend on specific Western software ecosystems, it's just not ready yet. That's just the honest assessment. The geopolitical implications of this technological shift are genuinely staggering. Huawei's Windows licensing agreement expired in March 2025 after United States export restrictions implemented in 2024 completely severed the company from Intel, AMD, and Qualcomm chip supplies. China's government isn't merely supporting this transition to domestic operating systems. They're actively mandating it through official policy. Public institutions across Guangdong, Hubei, and Jiangsu provinces have already begun rolling out Harmony OS throughout their computer systems, with a national directive requiring complete transition to domestic operating systems by 2027. This represents potentially hundreds of millions of devices transitioning away from Windows over the next few years, a market loss Microsoft can't easily replace elsewhere. On November 2, 2025, something occurred that Silicon Valley desperately hoped would go unnoticed by international media. Huawei quietly released two desktop computer models that fundamentally altered the dynamics in the technology competition between the United States and China. The Qingyun W515Y and W585Y aren't merely another product launch competing for consumer attention. These machines represent the first time a Chinese company has successfully built desktop computers that require absolutely zero American components to function. Right now, these systems are being deployed throughout Chinese government offices and state-owned enterprises, running on processors that Washington insisted couldn't possibly exist under current sanctions. Here's what makes this achievement absolutely shocking from a technology perspective. These desktops are powered by the Kirin 9000S processor, an 8-core, 16-thread chip operating at 2.5 GHz that was developed entirely by HiSilicon, which is Huawei's semiconductor design division. But here's the part that seems almost surreal. Huawei hasn't even officially announced this chip exists. There's no press release, no technical specifications published on their corporate website. No marketing materials. Nothing. Yet it's functioning inside commercial desktop computers being actively sold throughout China and deployed in government facilities right now. The processor is manufactured domestically using Chinese fabrication technology. The same chips that comprehensive American export controls were specifically engineered to make impossible to produce. So what does all of this actually mean? Huawei accomplished something that seemed genuinely impossible. They constructed a complete operating system from absolute scratch and deployed it inside laptops that boot faster than you can blink. While Microsoft controls over 70% of the global PC market and Apple owns the premium consumer segment, Huawei walked into that duopoly with Harmony OS 5 and essentially declared, "We don't need either of you anymore." This isn't some half-finished experiment or vaporware announcement. This represents 5 years of intensive development, over 10,000 engineers working in coordination, and 2,700 core patents coming together to challenge everything we assumed about personal computing ecosystems. The security architecture deserves particular attention because it represents fundamentally different design philosophy. Harmony OS uses a microkernel design where every process operates in isolation from others. Every data transfer receives automatic encryption. The AI system continuously monitors for unusual patterns that might indicate security threats. Cybersecurity expert Dr. Robert Chen explained the philosophical difference. Instead of bolting security features onto an existing system as afterthoughts, which is essentially what Windows and Mac OS do, Harmony OS built everything around zero-trust security principles from day one. For governments and enterprises worried about data sovereignty and foreign surveillance, this architectural difference matters enormously. In Chinese universities, students are already learning to develop applications specifically for Harmony OS. At Tsinghua University, China's equivalent to MIT, computer science programs now include Harmony OS development as core curriculum components. Third-party developers are creating applications that leverage features impossible on Windows or Mac platforms. Advanced video editing tools use AI to automate complex tasks. Business applications integrate seamlessly with enterprise systems designed for Chinese markets. The ecosystem is growing organically, driven by genuine market demand rather than government mandate alone. Markets in Southeast Asia, Africa, and Latin America are watching these developments with intense interest. These regions, where Huawei already maintains strong smartphone market presence, could provide extremely fertile ground for Harmony OS expansion beyond China's borders. Local developers are rushing to create applications addressing specific regional needs, from specialized business tools to educational software tailored for local markets and languages. Saudi Arabia announced a $100 billion AI initiative. India's technology corridor is exploring partnerships with Shenzhen-based companies. Brazil's national technology strategy explicitly mentions technological sovereignty as a strategic priority.